There's a truth that very few dog care videos say out loud right from the start. So today I'll say it plainly, so you don't go in with illusions. Raising a Shih Tzu during its first year isn't like owning a pet. It's like living with a toddler who can walk, can't speak, but feels everything very deeply. And if you're not mentally prepared for what each month brings, you'll feel exhausted, you'll blame yourself, and you'll start wondering, am I raising my dog the wrong way? You're not. You're simply going through exactly what every long-time Shih Tzu owner has gone through. Before bringing your puppy home, don't think too much about cute photos or adorable videos. Think about electrical wires, shoes, tissues, bottles, and everything within reach at floor level. Shih Tzus don't destroy things because they're bad. They do it because they're learning about the world with their mouths. A safe home from day one will save you from a lot of shouting later. Prepare food bowls, water bowls, a bed, chew toys, a leash, and most importantly, a vet schedule. It sounds boring, but it determines 80% of your peace of mind in the months ahead. The first month, your Shih Tzu doesn't need you to teach well. It needs you to be there. Your puppy has just left its mother, its siblings, and everything familiar. Some puppies cry on the first night. Some go silent in a way that feels scary. Don't rush into teaching everything. The most important thing right now is helping your puppy understand. This place is safe. Hold them more than you think you should. Sit near them more than you think is necessary. Accidents are completely normal. Don't yell. Shih Tzus remember fear for a very long time at this stage. The second month, you'll see your puppy start to open its eyes to the world. More curiosity, more running around, more chewing. This isn't the time to get angry. This is the time to give them the right things to chew. Chew toys don't just help with teething, they also help Shih Tzus release stress. This is also a golden period to introduce everyday sounds. Vacuum cleaners, traffic, strangers, normal life noise. Don't wait until they're older to socialize them. By then, it's already late. The third month, energy levels rise noticeably. Your puppy starts testing boundaries, biting hands, tugging at clothes, running away when called. This is where many owners make their biggest mistake, laughing it off today because it's cute, then getting angry tomorrow. Shih Tzus don't understand that contradiction. They only understand that your world is unstable. If you've raised Shih Tzus long enough, you know this. Consistency matters more than strictness. From 4 to 6 months, you officially enter the "this is really tiring" phase. Your puppy has a lot of energy, constantly seeks attention, and is very clever about finding ways to get it. If you don't give their brain something to do, they'll invent their own games, and you usually won't like those games. Keep training short. Keep playtime short. Rotate toys. Change activities. Don't drag one thing out for too long. Shih Tzus get bored quickly. From 7 to 12 months, this is the teenage phase. Your puppy seems to forget everything it ever learned. You call, and it ignores you. It looks at you like, "I know already. Stop talking." Many people think their dog has suddenly become bad. No, it's growing up. What you need to do now isn't retrain from scratch, but keep the same rules. Don't give up. Don't change the boundaries. This is also when their coat starts matting quickly. If you neglect brushing, you'll pay for it with painful tangles for your dog. After 1 year, a Shih Tzu doesn't magically become a well-behaved dog. It becomes the result of what you've done consistently over those 12 months. If you were patient, it will be gentle. If you were consistent, it will understand you. If you were rushed, it will pull inward. I say this as someone who has raised Shih Tzus long enough to know one thing for sure. They don't need a perfect owner. They need someone who doesn't abandon their emotions halfway through. If you're raising a Shih Tzu right now, tell me in the comments which month you're in. You might be surprised how many people are walking through the exact same stage, and sometimes, realizing you're not alone is what helps you keep going until the end of the journey. There's a moment that almost every Shih Tzu owner goes through, but very few people talk about it, because it's not pretty, not cute, and not something you can show off. It's the moment when you see your dog lying quietly in a corner, not playing, not asking for attention, not destroying anything, and you suddenly feel worried, not because they're being bad, but because they're too quiet. Shih Tzus don't react the way other breeds do. When they're tired, they don't make noise, they withdraw. And if you've lived with them long enough, you'll understand this. A Shih Tzu's silence always has a reason. In the early months, many people try to make their dog happy by playing more, holding them more, stimulating them more. But there's a very real insight that only long-time Shih Tzu owners discover. Shih Tzus need quiet space more than you think. They're not a breed that thrives on constant noise and stimulation. Some days, the best thing you can do is simply sit nearby, don't call them, don't touch them, don't force interaction. And strangely enough, it's often in those moments that a Shih Tzu will choose to come closer to you on their own. As a Shih Tzu grows, you'll notice a very small but extremely important change. They start reading your emotional state. On days you're exhausted, they lie a little farther away. On days you're happy, they stay closer. This isn't random. It's the result of hundreds of hours living together, observing and adjusting. Shih Tzus don't love loudly. They love by not intruding when you no longer have the energy. And many people only realize this after they've already missed it. There's a mistake I see repeated again and again by new Shih Tzu owners. They think a dog being less clingy is a sign of maturity. Not necessarily. Sometimes, it's a sign that the dog has learned to pull inward to adapt to your lifestyle. If you're too busy, too tense, too rushed, a Shih Tzu won't demand more from you. They'll adjust. And they'll adjust so well that you start thinking everything is fine, until that distance becomes a habit. Raising a Shih Tzu isn't about training perfectly. It's a process of synchronizing your rhythms. When you slow down, their breathing evens out. When you're tense, they become more cautious. When you're patient, they soften. This is why so many people say Shih Tzus heal them, but the truth few people say is this. You have to learn to slow down first, to feel that healing. If you're raising a Shih Tzu, and you've ever had the thought, am I doing enough? Believe me, that question is already the answer. People who don't care never ask it. If you see yourself somewhere in what I just shared, hit subscribe. Not to learn how to be a perfect dog owner, but so we can understand Shih Tzus more deeply, more slowly, and more honestly. Here, we don't raise dogs to show off. We raise them to live with. There's one more thing that becomes clearer the longer you live with a Shih Tzu, but is very hard to say in those quick tip videos. Shih Tzus don't respond to your words as much as they respond to the way you live every day. You can say good boy 100 times, but if you come home irritated, rushed, and tense for just 1 week, you'll see the change immediately. They run to the door less. They look into your eyes less, not because they're upset, but because they're learning how to avoid. I once met a viewer of the channel who had raised her Shih Tzu for 3 years. The dog didn't destroy things, didn't bark, didn't demand attention. It sounded ideal, but she said something very honest. It feels like we live in the same house, not like we live together. When I asked about her daily routine, everything became clear. Rushing out to work in the morning, coming home tired at night, turning on the TV, scrolling on the phone, the dog lying in a corner. No conflict, but no connection either. And Shih Tzus are very good at adapting to that kind of life. They won't ask for more, because they know you no longer have space. Another example. Someone raising a small Shih Tzu who held and cuddled the dog a lot, but whose emotions changed constantly. One day full of affection, the next day snapping because of exhaustion. With other breeds, you might see resistance. With Shih Tzus, they remember. Not in a resentful way, but in the way they adjust their behavior. After a while, that dog began avoiding close contact, even though it stayed in the same room. The owner thought, they've grown up. They're less clingy now. In reality, the dog had learned to keep a safe distance. This becomes especially obvious from around 7 months onward, when a Shih Tzu is smart enough to predict your reactions. They know when to come closer and when to stay away. And if you pay close attention, you'll notice some days they lie near you at a very specific distance. Not close, not far, exactly the distance where they feel they won't be hurt. Raising a Shih Tzu, then, isn't just about food, training, or vet schedules. It's about whether you're creating an emotionally stable environment. Dogs don't need you to be happy all the time, but they need you to be predictable. Someone who's one way today and another tomorrow is more exhausting for a Shih Tzu than a lack of toys or missed walks. And here's a very real thing that few people say. Sometimes, your Shih Tzu is simply a mirror of how you're living. The noisier the house, the messier the schedule, the more stressed the mind, the more a Shih Tzu pulls inward. Not to punish you, but to protect itself. If you're watching this and suddenly remember a very small, very personal moment with your Shih Tzu, a time they chose to lie farther away, a time they didn't run to greet you like before, don't rush to feel sad. Noticing it is already the first step toward reconnecting. This channel doesn't exist to teach you how to be a perfect owner. It exists so we can understand the very quiet things in life with a Shih Tzu, the things that only appear when you stay long enough and look slowly enough. Before this video ends, there's one very small but very real thing I want to leave you with, not as advice, but as a gentle reminder. Shih Tzus don't come into your life to make things easier. They come to make things slower. And in a world where we're always expected to be fast, to be enough, to be strong, to be okay, a creature that chooses to stay beside you in silence, without demands or pressure, is sometimes the hardest thing to hold on to. You may not remember exactly when your dog learned the sit command or where that first walk took place, but you'll remember very clearly those exhausted evenings when the two of you simply lay next to each other without needing to say anything. Shih Tzus don't love through big moments. They love through steady presence, day after day, quiet, but enduring. If there are moments when you feel like you haven't done enough, remember this. A Shih Tzu doesn't need a perfect owner. They only need someone who stays. Even when you're tired, when you're confused, when you don't have the answers. And if you're still watching this video to its final seconds, then I believe you are that kind of person. Thank you for staying. Thank you for choosing to live a little more slowly with your Shih Tzu. And if you want to continue these honest, deep, very real conversations about sharing life with a small but deeply sensitive creature, subscribe to the channel. We still have many things to understand. Together.